When it comes to vasectomies, there is a four-letter word that stops most guys in their tracks. If I can quote the famous or infamous Clubber Lang, it's pain. On TikTok, Reddit, there's video after video of guys talking about how vasectomy was the worst thing they ever did, how they regret it, and how us doctors don't tell everyone what the real experience is. Well, today I'm here to share you, based on my experience of over 10,000 vasectomies, what most of my patients go through. So we're going to cover the first 48 hours, both during the procedure and afterwards. We're going to talk about that dreaded post-vasectomy pain syndrome that you hear about on social media. And lastly, I'm going to talk about what is the least talked about, but to me, the number one cause of pain that guys have. So stay tuned. So guys ask me all the time, Doc, is this going to hurt? And certainly I've seen a huge range of responses both during and immediately after a vasectomy. What I can say hands down is the most common response is, oh, that wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. I mean, guys, let's be honest. How often do we up here just think of something and it's never as bad as our imagination thinks? And that's what most guys feel during the procedure. Now, again, I've seen a variety of experiences. I have guys go through this and they're wiggling around and moving and asking when I'm done. And that's even with the no needle, no scalpel technique on the laughing gas. And then I have other guys who do this with no laughing gas, don't flinch, and go, are you done? That was a piece of cake. Why do guys complain about this? So I certainly have seen my Oscar-worthy performances of guys wobbling down the hallway after a vasectomy. But for the most part, guys are walking out of there. The procedure's not that bad. And then in terms of the immediate recovery, even after the numbing medicine wears off, you know, I've done this on very good friends and colleagues who have my cell phone. And most often they're texting me going, Joe, do you even do anything? Because this has been pretty darn easy. If anything, I got to tell guys to just take it easy and not do too much too soon. So there certainly can be some pain, but if you stay on top of Tylenol, ice packs, ibuprofen, we also give an extra pain medicine if necessary. For most guys, this really isn't that bad. By about a week out, you should expect to be pain-free in most cases, but there are some guys who can take a couple weeks. We've seen some threads of guys going, it's been 3 weeks and I'm still hurting. This was terrible. No, your doctor just didn't counsel you correctly. Everyone recovers differently, but the majority of the time, after about a week or so, you're going to be back to normal at full activities. So let's pivot now to that dreaded post-vasectomy pain syndrome, or PVPS as it's known online. Listen, I haven't met a guy at all who's like, please sign me up for achy balls for the rest of my life. None of us want that, myself included. What we know about the post-vasectomy pain syndrome, first and foremost, is it is rare. You know, let's think about this, guys. It only takes a couple squeaky wheels on any sort of thread or internet, and all of a sudden it seems like everybody's got somebody. But if you look at the American Urologic Association, which sits there and surveys patients who's had vasectomies, overall, 99% of guys are fine. That's the data. It's 99% chance you're going to be okay. And only 1% of guys actually report post-vasectomy pain syndrome. So let's go into what this is just real briefly and whether or not you may have it or why you might be struggling with it. So first off, we don't know why it happens. You could do the same vasectomy on 1,000 guys and 999 of them are fine and then one gets it. We don't know whether it's related to technique, patient factors whatsoever. This pain syndrome we're talking about is pain that's there 6 months later. Okay, so we're not talking about being achy a couple weeks out. We're talking about 6 months out. You're bothered enough by this, you come to your doctor and say, hey man, something's not right. Now, in most cases, when we evaluate it, we don't necessarily find anything, quote, wrong, but it's a legitimate pain syndrome. In my experience, in the last 4,000 to 5,000 vasectomies I've done at Pazona, MD, I have had one patient who legitimately had this, who I had to send off to go have a vasectomy reversal to relieve that sort of back pressure that was causing his pain. And listen, we answer our phones. I'm available for my patients. So I have a hard time believing there's dozens of other guys sitting out there who are writhing around in pain who haven't come back to see me. So again, all it takes is one guy going viral on TikTok to make you think everyone's got this, but it's exceedingly rare. And then the last thing to know is that you can do something about it. It amazes me how many of my colleagues just brush guys off and just tell you, you're going to be fine. No, in some cases, you're not going to be fine, and you do need to go talk about having a vasectomy reversal or a microsurgical procedure to deaden those nerves going to the testicle, and that will often get rid of the pain. So if you're out there and you legitimately have this and you're suffering, you just haven't found the right guy who can treat it. I've got a lot of colleagues across the country who do treat this, and they can often get it fixed. So guys, I know you're worried about this long-term pain syndrome, but it's really rare. So let's jump to what is actually the most painful part of the vasectomy. It's the anxiety and the fear of it. It is all the lead up coming up to it. The guys who come to me and be like, "Doc, I haven't slept for weeks." And then they go through the procedure and it was pretty darn easy. And so I alluded to it earlier, guys, this is our worst enemy when it comes to vasectomy. It's in between our ears. It's not anything that's going to happen down there or any sharp object I may or may not use down on your precious jewels. So hands down, the fear and the anxiety is the worst part. And I'll add in there the fear and the anxiety you and your partner are going through on a daily basis, potentially when that oops happens, or stressing about that extra kid that you have no room for in your house, that you can't afford a new car, that you have no idea how you're going to provide for this kid when you've got 2 other kids and you're barely scraping by. So it's that fear and the anxiety that is the true pain with the vasectomy, not the pain down there. And trust me, as guys have said before, we've all had kicks in the groin or headbutts in the groin from a kid or a college buddy at some point. That's often worse than what we're going to do during the vasectomy. So hopefully today we've addressed that dreaded 4-letter word of pain regarding a vasectomy. And, listen, guys, we'd love to hear what your biggest fear is about a vasectomy. So drop a comment. Let us know what is holding you back from moving forward with this. And if we can ever be service here at Pazona MD, come fly on in. We'll do your vasectomy on Friday. You can go honky-tonk with all the bachelorettes on Broadway, have a fun weekend, and fly on home. So until I see you in Nashville, show yourself a little bit more love and kindness. We're all works in progress, and these are opportunities to grow. Thanks, and have an awesome day.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of Balls Deep. If you'd like to join our stream team of listeners, please click the subscribe button on your favorite podcast platform. For more information about our practice, Pazona MD, please visit pazonamd.com. This podcast is for informational purposes only, and the content is not intended to be a substitute for professional medical advice. The show does not constitute the practice of medicine. No doctor-patient relationship is formed through this podcast or any of the social media channels related to this show. The use of this information is at the user's own risk. Users should not disregard or delay in obtaining medical advice from any medical condition they have, and they should seek the assistance of their healthcare professionals for any such conditions.